What if I told you that there are free AI tools that literally cost nothing, zero? They allow you to use the latest models, they allow you to build presentations and also wipe code apps for free with AI features. Like you can add AI features in a wipe coded app for zero, literally zero. If you're interested to learn about them, let's get started. We're going to start our journey on Hugging Chat, right? Again, very simply, this is one of the most coolest tools which I've been recommending to people across, right? It has access to the best models and which is one of the most biggest companies technically right now on the whole AI and machine learning space. And right now they have really made an amazing tool which allows you to have conversation with different kind of models for free. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to get started by asking you to create again, a very simple game. So very simply, code a minimal tic-tac-toe game using HTML and canvas, right? And now if you see here, I can see different models that I can choose from. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you this. There are multiple models, but I'm just going to select. Technically means it's going to automatically select which is the best model that can help me do this. So let me just write this again. Code a tic-tac-toe game in Star Wars format, HTML and canvas. And as soon as I press enter, it will now automatically start choosing a model and then utilize that model to actually create this game. I can also change the screen color. I can go light or dark. I like dark. And then very simply, it will show me a game in a second or so. Until this is happening, let me show you a couple of more features of Hugging Face. The one option that you can choose from is you can select a model. So you can select, let's say, again, I want to use something like, OpenAI's open source model or the Llama 3.1 or something else. There are also a ton of other open source models that are, let's say we want to use Hugging Face model, the one that they have created. I'm just going to come here and click on new chart. And now, as you can see below, we see the model name has changed to the particular Hugging Face model. And we can ask different questions based on what you want. Same way, you can do this for other models that are there. And this helps them, very simply get information. Now, the reason it's free is because there are providers which serve these models for free to Hugging Face for them to utilize here. And that is just great about software. You can also use it with your APIs if you want, but very simply you can select any model that you like. As you can see, there's a massive list, and yes, some of these models are something that you would have never heard of because they are open source and created by not so famous companies. Let's see what's happening with our game. Let's come here. As you can see, it has automatically coded all of this. And we can just click on the preview button here and open this. So let's see, X-Wing, okay, and it's pretty cool. I don't know where they have got the emojis from, but again, really cool, Star Wars style. And I quite really like this, very simply, it's beautiful. It created a whole app for free, and you can use this to also you can copy the code, use it for yourself as you want. And I believe that itself is just crazy good. Let's come to another option now. Hugging Face is something that you can use for free, with all the other models, but also because they are all open source, you can't use the paid models. You will not have GPT, right? You will also not have Gemini model here, right? You can search for models and select from there. For that, we go to another website which is called LM Arena. Now, LM Arena, all the links will be in the description, so don't worry. LM Arena has multiple options for us. You have the battle option, you have side by side, and you have the direct chart. We technically want to switch to direct chart and just select it. And here we can choose between different models. If you can see here, you also have the option to use GPT, right? Again, it would be limited to a number of requests, but you can use multiple other options that exist. So let's try with Gemini. One of the good things with Gemini is I can click on generating an image and then select the flash model or the image preview model. So let's say I want to use the banana, which is the Gemini flash model, an image of a tortoise traveling in the sea, animated style. So again, let's see what comes out. But the point is, this is completely free. You can use as many as times you want. You can switch between multiple different models. And I think it's one of the coolest things that you can use between different image models, see which images you like and just use them. And that's pretty cool. Again, it did create it exactly in the same style as Disney Pixar, and make of that what you will. Literally, this is the same character that exists there, and you have Finding Nemo and all of those things. But you can use this to create images. That's something that actually does not exist in Hugging. If you try to ask it to create images, it just says I can't create images for now. You can click on new chart. Let's say you don't want to create, and you can just come here and click image, and you can just remove the image option. You can click on web search if you wanted to allow to web search and choose different models. So let's say we can use search, we can use perplexity, or we can use like, other ton of models that are here. So let's say Claude Sonnet, write a code for a tic-tac-toe game for Star Trek. And then you can use this to like, again, create code, and like, again, it's also going to like, utilize its own model to give us all the information. The only thing is I don't think it has the preview option, and you will have to copy this code because it wrote in Python. If I ask it to write in like, another language, it will do that. And Claude has some of the best models. So you have both the options available to choose between what works for you. And I would suggest like, just use them. Now these tools are completely free, and I would request you to please go ahead and actually use these tools, because you don't need to wait for like, getting access to Claude or getting access to ChatGPT or paying for them if you like, just don't use it that much. So if you're using them, just go ahead and use this. There are also a couple of other cool features here, like, very simply you can click on new chart and you can select battle, where you can technically see which models you're using. It's a fun thing, or you can compare two different models. So let's say I use the same thing, like, write code for tic-tac-toe in HTML. Right, and I can do this, and as you can see, I have the option for Sonnet or Opus, or I can compare Gemini 2.5 Pro and the Sonnet model, and we can compare both the models side by side on what kind of options that they generate with. And again, you can use this as you want with your own options, and you will get sometimes things like this. You can retry on them and you'll get information. As you can see, it's like, creating it finally now. So you can use this. So like, again, like, you can copy and paste your code in your machine and like, run these. But you can see there are two different options coming in, which would have been like, you would have to switch between two different apps to get this kind of a response. Another tool that you can use for free is Goma.app. This tool is used to create amazing presentations. If you are someone who is working in a job, you need to create a lot of presentations, you can use this. Honestly, on the pricing page, they technically have this free version. It allows you to build unlimited presentations for free, which I believe is pretty cool. So let me show you a quick example of the same. So we're going to come here and click on create new, and you have multiple options available here, but I'm just going to click on generate and give it an option, or use something that already exists. So let's say brand strategy and positioning for an AI startup, or list of 5 free AI tools with these. And instead of 10 cards, I can select 5 cards. Now think about cards as just the slides in a presentation. So I'm just going to select 5, and then it will generate an outline. The outline, this is what I'm going to create, and like, before creating the images and all the information, you can see ChatGPT, Google AI Studio, Copy.ai, Canva, and how much text I want. So let's say I want extremely less text. I can select a design. I like this design a lot, right? And what kind of art style we want. Let's say we want line art, which is pretty cool. And I can just click on generate. And now it will automatically start generating a presentation, which will start showing up here in a second, which is pretty cool. Like, you guys can get started in a presentation, go from 0 to 1 in like less than 2 minutes or something like that. And it will also add images and everything else. So as you can see, the slide looks pretty cool, like, and it's generating an image here, right? And you can ask it to like, redesign it, change stuff if you want, but also like, just that it was able to create something so quickly and so easily just blows my mind still, like, just still blows my mind. And if you want to present it, you can just click on present mode. You get the option present, and it looks pretty cool. I would not deny that. And you can use this to create beautiful presentations and get started very quickly. And I think, like, this is probably one of the best presentation tools out there right now. Perfect. With this, another tool that I want to tell you about, which beats Lovable and Bolt $20-$25 plans, is Google's AI Studio. You can build any app here for free, like quite literally free. I'm just going to quickly show you how can you get started, and I have a full tutorial on this which will be available here. So if I come here, I'm just going to ask it to, like, technically just build me a chart app where I can ask it questions about astronomy and give fun facts. Beautiful UI inspired from space. That's it. That's my prompt. I'm just going to press enter, and now it will go ahead and build a full-blown app using my details, what I've given it as a prompt, and just create that. And it costs $0. It's completely free, and I would say instead of using Lovable or Bolt and paying them and, like, figuring out how you're going to utilize all of that, just start using this. It's just like free, and you don't have to pay anything, and you can wipe code unlimited number of apps. And really, like, Google's AI Studio has knocked it out of the park. It takes a minute to get started and, like, get the first app available. It's going to go ahead and write the whole code. You don't need to use that. You just click on preview, and it will load up in the same way that any other application does. The only thing is it costs you nothing. This link will also be available in the description. As you can see, we have a chat app, and also you might be thinking, but what about the AI features? Are they paid? No, they are also absolutely free. So I can ask it, explain me the Milky Way, and then technically it will now utilize Gemini's model and give me an answer for free. I have like nothing added here. There's no billing details, there is no credit card. It will just give me an answer here, and you can ask, see, it's in Markdown, so you can ask it to format the Markdown or anything else, but we got the information. And that's super cool. You can ask it to maintain a chart history and do other things, anything that you want. Let's say landing page which shows all features. I can just ask it to run that, and it will technically add a landing page which technically allows me to come to this chart. So again, there is no limit to what you can do. It works exactly in the same format as any other app. It doesn't cost you anything. As you can see, we have the landing page available here, and we can just click on this, launch into Cosmos, and it looks pretty cool. Just really, really cool. So you can go ahead and check it out and build your own apps. But with that, I would just say, if you enjoyed the video till here, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to learn more about how to build apps with AI Studio, I have a full tutorial available here, and you can go ahead and check that out. I would love to see you in the next one.